Dear Joe Biden, have a nice trip. See you next fall. I'm Benny Johnson, and this is the Benny Report. It's not unusual for our politicians in America to fall flat on their faces. It's actually often that they do this. It's what they do best. Hillary Clinton fell twice. Bob Dole fell right off a stage while running for president. Ouch, look at that. Pelosi knelt on the ground and could not get up. It's kind of like a fall. And then we have the classic President Gerald Ford. Poor Ford. He took a tumble right down the Air Force One stairs right in front of the world. Poor guy. It looked like it hurt. Ford was mocked incessantly by Saturday Night Live in the 70s for falling down the Air Force One stairs. Chevy Chase created an entire character around President Ford falling. Watch this.
Now, as we can see, the Ford popularity is certainly on a sharp rise here. Whereas the... Wait. And now for my second announcement.
It's a classic. It's a classic. Do you remember those skits? It was really funny. Everyone laughed. The media lapped it up. Can you imagine something funnier than an out-of-touch, room-temperature IQ president tumbling down the steps of Air Force One? It's comedy gold. Kind of reminds me of someone more recent, someone we all know. The president who received the most votes in American history. Ouch. Did anybody see this? Of course you saw it. Did you notice the moment where Joe Biden hit his head on the staircase? It's not good. It's not good. If someone should protect that head, it should be Joe Biden. I want to state here, very important, we're not trying to make fun of Joe Biden. Quite the opposite. We're worried for our country. Installing a president in free-fall cognitive physical decline is dangerous on many, many levels. Trump once walked slowly down a ramp, you may remember. It spawned an entire news cycle questioning the fitness of President Trump. CNN devoted 22 minutes to Trump's walk down the ramp. MSNBC devoted nearly a half hour of broadcast to the story. The New York Times ran Trump's halting walk down the ramp raises health questions. The Biden falling clip is 1 week old today. Our weekend show often has to wait for moments like this to mature into larger news stories, and then we can talk about it. It's actually something wonderful about having a weekend show. But this story never did mature. It never went anywhere. No, in fact, there seemed to be a concentrated effort to protect Joe Biden from criticism. The day the President of the United States collapsed and face-planted in front of the world, the homepages of MSNBC, CBS News, Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, and the New York Times did not mention it. Look at this screenshot. The New York Times found space above the fold to report how 3 feet is now acceptable CDC coronavirus guidelines for children. But no space for the 3 feet President Biden fell through the air directly onto his face. Our American press are thrilled when American jobs get outsourced to foreigners. Now it seems they're outsourcing their own. Look at this screenshot of how the American press covered this debacle and how the British press covered it. Astounding. We truly do live in a George Orwell reality. Total disinformation. We sound like a broken record here, and it deserves to be said. The only function of the American corporate press is to protect the Democratic Party and crush any narratives that may hurt their masters. But surely those in our comedic class will have the bravery to make fun of clearly the saddest, most mediocre man to become president in a generation. It's so easy to make fun of Joe Biden, it's almost unfair. The last honest, brave comedian in American culture, Robin Williams, had a field day with Joe Biden nearly a decade ago. Check this out.
Oh, we still have comedy, though. We still have great comedy out there. There's always rambling Joe Biden. What the Joe says that even people with Tourette's go, no. No. What is going on? Joe is like her uncle who's on a new drug and hasn't got the dosage right. I'm proud to work with Barack America. He's not a superhero, you idiot. Come here. When FDR was on television, there was no TV back then. Come here, Joe. Sit down.
This is comedy gold from a decade ago that Joe Biden provided. How good would Williams's material be today? So where is the cutting Joe Biden comedy? You just had a president fall down the Air Force One stairs. Saturday Night Live. This is an alert, okay? Saturday Night Live writers. A president fell down the Air Force One stairs. This is comedy gold. Remember, just a couple decades ago? Anything? Nothing? Of course not. Comedians today want jobs and Netflix specials and good press. So they shut up and do as their masters tell them to do. And the number one rule for these Muppets is to never make fun of your rulers, the corporate Democrats. But it's not the rule on this show. Here we ridicule because we must. It's an American tradition, and our leaders need it now more than ever. So I took to the streets this week to ask regular Americans to take the Biden three-step challenge. Watch. This guy is about to execute a perfect Biden challenge. 1, 2, 3. This is your family. Can we do a family Biden challenge? All right. Can we do it all together? On 1, 2, 3. Oh, my God.
Wow.
John, such bravery, guys. Such bravery. It's actually a really great clip. You can check out the whole video at Turning Point USA. The true press in America and the real truth tellers in this embarrassing political landscape that we live in right now are independent online creators. Meme lords are the political cartoonists of our day, and we celebrate them on this show. They are the last honest people in our modern political dialogue. Without further ado, this is the best Biden falling memes. Why did you cancel us, Joe? Why? Why would you cancel us? New modifications have been made on Joe Force One. No. No, Donald, don't do it. Oh, those are just sour grapes. Don't. Oh, no. What a drive, though. What accuracy. Could be in the PGA Tour. Okay. That's a good one. It's important not to lose your sense of humor. We here on the Benny Report have stressed the importance of satire in the last line as the last line of defense in holding our ruling class accountable. But not everyone is laughing, and not everyone gets the joke. Often the targets of political ridicule live in such a protected, cotton candy cocoon that they cannot handle the criticism. We've reached a point where the corporate media have become so broken that lines of parody and reality have become completely blurred. If you dare mock the corporate Democratic elite, you will be punished. This past week, the New York Times falsely labeled and libeled popular, hilarious satire publication, The Babylon Bee. They called them a far-right misinformation site, and said the Bee traffics in misinformation under the guise of satire. That's an exact quote. These are the types of headlines the New York Times considers misinformation. Biden visits southern border to play Despacito for migrant kids in cages. Hysterical. Mexico installs stairs to keep Joe Biden out. Very funny. Hurt all the feelings, though, at the New York Times. Joining us now to talk about this attack on satire and political humor, the CEO of the Babylon Bee, Seth Dillon. Seth, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Benny.
Seth, how did you get away with being a satire site for so long? I mean, you'd think that you wouldn't be able to hide in plain sight, being a humor site on the internet.
It's a great disguise, putting on satire as a mask. Who would have thought it would work so well? We can deceive the masses this way. Look, Benny, this thing is totally absurd. I mean, the New York Times is beclowning themselves right now with these like crazy allegations. I mean, it's so clear when you go to our website, you look at it, we're a satire site. We've been around a long time doing satire from day one. So it's pretty inexcusable for them to not even just suggest. It would be wrong if they just suggested that there's a question whether we're satire. They actually flat out defamed us by saying that we're not satire. We're pretending to be satire. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the Babylon Bee is one of my favorite sites on the internet. I believe many of our viewers probably love your content so very much. Are you considering legal action? Because what this seems to be is a direct attack on your existence, trying to get you kicked off of social media so that our viewers, myself included, fans of the Babylon Bee, wouldn't be able to get your content.
Yeah, well, we have to take it seriously. We're talking with legal counsel about what our options are and what we should do. And ordinarily I would just say with something like this, okay, maybe they made a mistake and maybe we can correct this by bringing some attention to it. The problem is that this is a recurring problem. the liberal media keeps bringing this stuff up over and over again, where, Snopes is trying to say that we're deceiving people on purpose. CNN personalities are saying that. New York Times is now, this is multiple times the New York Times has said something like this. So what they're trying to do is get this narrative to stick, where they paint us as a source of dangerous disinformation so they can have us deplatformed. Right. It's extremely irresponsible. It's inexcusable. And we can't let these lies stand, because these are considered reliable sources. Like it or not, New York Times is considered a reliable source. Right. Next thing you know, our Wikipedia page is going to say that we're not a real satire site. We dabble in misinformation. We're trying to deceive people.
That's right. So what do you say about the entire attack on comedy in the first place? It seems to be the attack is on the effective tools that the right now owns, memes and comedy, and they are perpetually going after those forms of communication because the left can't meme and the left is no longer funny. The Babylon Bee is both of those things.
They can't. We're aiming at the wrong targets. That's one thing. They don't like the targets we're aiming at. But there's a bunch of different ways that they're attacking comedy and satire. Some of them are unintentional. One of the unintentional ways is they're making reality so absurd and insane, it's almost impossible to satirize. That's one thing they're doing. But beyond that, the censorship stuff where they're trying to actually mischaracterize us to silence us, to me, it's encouraging. It means we're doing the right thing. Obviously, we're over the target, right? This is the response that you have when you're afraid of whoever's coming after you. So I think that they see that our attacks are very effective. The ridicule that satire uses, the irony, the humor, the mockery is extremely effective. And the evidence of that is the response we're getting right now.
There's nothing hollow, empty, powerful people hate more than being ridiculed and being made fun of. It's proven through despots and dictatorships all across the world. Seth, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Benny.
Keep going, man. All right. Our next guest is trying to get young leaders into office. Such an important